So basically, like what I wanted to tell is that this is one of the things that I think is very important to discuss, and I think that we have very good opportunity here to talk with somebody who was or who is and who was like for the last 10 years, let's say, maybe even 15 years, on the frontier of very innovative development of analytics, machine learning, and right now AI. AI in the field of theory, and also not only field of theory, but also in the field of application. So basically, the topic we are going to cover is what, why, and how we should invest in NLP on national level. And my first question, Leo, it is going to be a little bit more of a chat, like I told you, like between you and me, to share our opinion, a little bit more like a podcast on the big stage, is what is basically, what does it mean to invest in NLP for you? How would you that describe? Why is that? We'll come why it's important, but what does it mean to invest?
Well, I think it's a horizontal technology, so it could be part of everything, especially now with transformer technology and with generative AI. We started quite a long time ago. I see some people here who were inspiring me how to start. Before me on the stage was Sandro. It was 10 years ago. Yeah. When we decided to try to build a chatbot. At that time we had a company which was dealing and producing different AI solutions. So I remember that we were trying to do something which will be the most challenging task. And we were going around and see, okay, if you want to build a chatbot, what will be the most complex thing to do? And everybody in the region said, if you find a customer in Hungary, do it in Hungary. Because if you do it there, if you solve the puzzle and the problem of how to deal with it for Hungarian language, then you are mastering it all. So we went then to one big Hungarian bank and received lots of data and tried to build a chatbot. And this was my first interaction with the complexity of NLP. We were successful, maybe not fully, but from technological perspective, we were successful, and that leads to answer to your question. For me, I believe that any kind of research in that field could be beneficial as a horizontal technology, so it can be embedded in other things. And on the other hand, I like the title that you put on the first slide. You said why and how. I think that this region is known for experts who know how to do things, but not so many times I hear the question why. Why should we do that? Because sometimes, driven by sales, we are buying infrastructure, we are buying different things. At the end, when you ask yourself, okay, why we are doing that, or for example, are there any software solutions which resonate for 10 years or 15 years? You will not find any. Of course. Meaning that we invest a lot of money in different things, but at the end they are not living in a community that sometimes they do not produce value at all. But more often we close the project after 2 or 3 years when technology change. In NLP, I think that the knowledge is the essence, because if you are familiar with the concepts of that kind of analysis, if you are familiar with the concepts that can be then utilized in many other projects, then you have something, especially these days.
Yeah, I totally that is very, very cool thing to say. And just to digress a little bit, is I was talking with somebody outside of the hall, and I was saying that the next big revolution in AI is gonna be when we change backpropagation as the foundation of all of the modern models, basically, because in one way, because of the way how human brain thinks, it's not backpropagation, to be completely honest. So that's going to be a change. And what you're saying basically with NLP, what is a good thing, and I totally support that what we are developing in NLP, especially like corpus of the words, corpus of vocabularies, what is the difference, what is the similarities, how we respond, like what is the how to say, value of every words and the sentence, that something is going to stay. Because that's basically the basis for me. And basically what we are talking about, what is the first part of the question, I think that the most important thing is in understanding how difficult it is to develop language resources for low resources languages. For UK, like English, US, you have tons of material. But when you go back and see like how many basically materials we have for creation in language, that's very small part.
Yeah, but for those people who are not really experimenting with the technology, I came from university, and we have lots of international students. So a couple of months ago, we built a chatbot or generative AI tool, which is filled in with some legislative, some regulations that are related to our university. And those regulations from the past, the legacy was that part of it is in Croatian, part of it is in English, because English is the universal language. So we feed the system with English and Croatian legislative, and at the end, quite easily, the bot was able to communicate in any other language, in Spanish, I don't know, German, any other. And the quality of the overall result, meaning that the student was provided with the, let's say, brief information about how to apply, what to do with it, this and that, was quite good, quite good. So if I'm personally, if somebody from the audience is in any kind of customer support industry, I would pay attention to it, because the solutions that could be built even today with small fragments of budget that are sometimes used, of course, is quite useful. And that's again brings the question: okay, which service? Why we are doing it? Which service is ready or capable or efficient enough or worth trying, investing? Try to empower it with this kind of technology.
Yeah, basically that's what we are saying. Like, why is? I think it's very important questions, and one of the things that when we were talking about it, also in Serbia, we said I was talking to people. I said the language is not only language, like it's not only like what we are using to say something. It's something that brings the whole culture, tradition, the past knowledge that we had, like that was passing from our grandparents and their grandparents. Like, this is something how we pass the stories. This is how we develop as a human. So when we are saying like development of the language is also like actually it has this cultural component inside of it. Maybe we don't see it because it's not like defined like that, because it's very hard to define what does it mean to say culture. That's something that you can see, that can feel, but it's not very easily measured, because it's different from one nation to the second nation. Even with the close nation, inside, of course, if, for example, inside in Croatia, there is not same when you talk with somebody who is Čajkovac or Stokovac. Like, basically, Čajkovci, you will not understand anything, like, basically, to be completely honest. Or for Serbian, it's very hard to understand them. But the thing is, I think that language is one of the most important part of the culture. And we say about it, what I feel that if we build the basis or the most of the NLP corpus with LLMs, etc., from English language, and then we incorporate a small amount, I believe that we are going to lose this cultural part inside of it. I'm a little bit afraid of that. What is your opinion about it? What do you think?
I'm not sure that we need to go so, we could split it, or we can split this discussion in two ways. Okay. First is the essence of communication, for us being able to communicate. Okay, I come to a country, different country, you are not speaking my language, I'm not speaking your language, you are not speaking any universal language, and we have some solution which will help us to understand each other. And my generation, I'm 50, when we were at the university, one of the skills that they told us that could be skill of the future is learning languages. And even then, even today, but much less, you can hear that someone is speaking 6 or 10 languages. So that's universal skill. When you hear that somebody is speaking 10 languages, you think, okay, that guy or person invested a lot in the career. But I think artificial intelligence brings another aspect of it, and that's that we do not need to learn so much of the language in order to just communicate. So I think that layer is somehow or that puzzle, that challenge is somehow solved. So that brings us more time to dive in deeply into the culture, because if I want to learn Spanish, I'm not learning it just for the communication. I'm learning it because I want to know more about the tradition, culture, etc. I was attending one lecture from one basketball player yesterday, and he started in Croatia, ended up in Spain, and then went to MBA. And he said that beyond all other skills, sports skills, like how to play, how to deal with the ball and everything, the most important thing that he did in his life was learning Spanish once when he was signing the contract there. And that changed his career. And he said, look, whatever I could do with the ball was somehow less important. But the moment when I learned local language changed everything, because I need to somehow dive into the culture and everything. And that's similar to not only NLP or these kind of solutions, but to everything related to data science. Because if you take a look at the prominent data scientists, all of them are somehow connected with data. You cannot find the data scientist who is important, and he's just someone who is playing with theory and just telling you what needs to be done. You are looking and finding people who are close to data. For example, I don't know, Jure Leskovec, or people who are very experienced, but they are very close to data. They are playing with data, or they are in a situation, in a position, in institutions which had a reputation of being able to deal with data. That's something that we are trying to build in algebra. To be an institution which is responsible, which is recognized as an excellence center, which then will be able to access data which are not maybe they're not often offered to anybody else, in order to build something. Because just knowing how to build without being able to access the data, you still miss something. Similar here, just being able to utilize NLP without really the essence why you are doing it. Maybe why could be the title of your next conference, because I'm hearing it a lot in medicine, why we are doing that.
Yeah.
In, I don't know, HPC, why we are doing that, quantum computing. I was attending a lecture from one big company yesterday as well, and it was quite impressive to see the slides about the processors, about the computational power, about the investment. And I asked just one question, okay, how many people are interacting with it today? Because systems became more and more complex, and people are looking for simplicity. And there is a gap between. We see it at the university. It's very hard for a student to deal with it because of the complexity. Is not knowing, why am I doing this? Who will be using my technology? How this will change my life or life of the people around me?
Yeah, basically, like what you're saying about simplicity of use, I think that was one of the things why OpenAI was so successful, because it was it's basically Google type of users. They just put the Google inside of it, like the prompt, and there's also one saying that simplicity is truest form of mastery. Then that's the question why. When you understand why you're building something, and also how it can be used, and also that's very, I think, interconnected question. That's when the value comes in, because then you will see the product that you're building or something that you're investing in, does it really has a sense, or maybe it doesn't have a sense. Even if something doesn't have a sense, doesn't mean that if you don't pivot, or you pivot that idea once or twice, it will become something that is very, very important and very something meaningful. But basically, what is also like what you just said, I do resonate with this one, with thinking that why it's very important. I also like I said, regarding the how, is something that I was also reading a little bit more. I don't know if you're familiar with the letter YAT, if you heard about it. YAT was basically like old Glagolica, basically. So the whole Balkan is, even Bulgarian, Bulgarians, Romanians, they have very similar way how they were written language, written everything. But there is a difference with that letter YAT, which was differently pronounced. So basically, all of the dialects, especially in the old Yugoslavia, they are the way how you were calculated with this YAT. So one of the things that I was thinking about when I was preparing this session, and of course, low research, small country language, like to develop their LLM, that's something that it's even not possible because of data. There was like, I was reading the one of the, I cannot remember who wrote that article, but it was like that there is a possibility to connect all Balkan languages in one project, and to use like proto language, which was like before the revolution of the languages in every country, that you can connect and you can basically create Balkan LLM. I don't know, with this kind of project, do you think that it could have sense? Not in the terms, okay, maybe it's possible, not possible technical, but what would that be an interesting project?
Maybe we need to have a different session and to think about why we will be doing that. For example, 3 years ago, we were granted with one project that promotes media literacy and open democracy. And we were asked by the project leader, there was some budget for it, and we were asked as a team to try to use technology to support open democracy. The subtitle was Fake News and Hate Speech. Okay. So, the budget was not so big, and we built a system for training that helps us to understand the sentiment of the text, which is something that you can use different tools to do that. But on top of that, we built a system that can identify precursors of hate speech. And we had, because we did the portal, we did the system which trains the data. Therefore, we said, okay, how much budget we can afford? Because we need native speakers to be able to help us to make an annotation for the data. And at the end, we decided to go with Slovenian, Croatian, English as a universal language, but also Hungarian. You remember my motivation for it, and Romanian.
Yeah.
And we built a system for 5 languages. It's open to access to academic community. I can show you the results, which can identify precursors of hate speech. So we build a kind of thesaurus-like directory of hate speech topics, because for hate you need to have some kind of target. It could be minority or political some approach or stuff like that. And we make a quite comprehensive survey for each country. There are some hate speech targets similar to Croatia and Hungary, but some are very, very different. And also we try to build a system which can understand the context, because sometimes I can say something to you which is, so the sentence consists some of the words which could be treated as insult, but at the end the whole context is not the insult. Okay, so we build a system, and we put just 2 simple goals to it. So we want it to be simple to use, because when we make a 360 turn in terms of NLP, we will come back to the human-computer interaction.
Yeah.
Because now we have systems which are working, but it's so annoying to type the text every time in it. So we need kind of a progress in this human-computer interaction. So we build a system which looks like a Google search engine. But once when the system decides that something is hate or insult, it puts or provides the reasoning process in front of the screen. So you see which context, which words. If you learn how to do it, we are playing with colors, with intensity of the colors inside of the text. And then you can decide or see why a certain text is marked as a hate or negative. And we aim to use this tool in elementary schools for kids which are exchanging messages between themselves, sometimes not knowing that the message is insult, because they are playing for attention, so they could put an insult in the message and they will forward it beyond the group. And therefore someone can take the text out, put it in the system and say, okay, this is hate. But then he or she can paraphrase the text, change the text, make another evaluation, and say, okay, this could be stated, or somehow this could be written in a different way, in different form, which is not insult. So, and it was quite comprehensive system. We got some rewards for it. But from the perspective of open democracy, why am I saying that? Because this open democracy is the why. Because the system, maybe there are other systems that could be used. Now we are discussing with the European Union to train it for all 28 languages and put it as a universal free platform for everybody. At the moment, what we are doing to promote the system, we are going to the texts on most prominent news providers in those countries and try to automatically measure sentiment for the major titles and news text. And it's nice to see it, because you have green and red, you can imagine. So depending on the portal, probably we could use it in Serbia as well. You can see the sentiment, because sometimes if you want your news, your message to be recognized, sometimes you need to put some negativity into it. So it's something that comes out from the topic that you just put as important.
I think that also you have raised one of the interesting questions, or not, you didn't raise as a question, but it is risen up as for myself as a question, is the funding of these kind of projects. I realistically don't see it that is achievable to be funded without a strong support from the, of course, either EU on one hand, but also national government on the other. Because how do I see it? If we as the society and government represent society as it is, if we don't invest in our languages and our models, let's say something that Violeta Bulc yesterday, the former commissioner of the EU for mobility transport, she said virtual ecosystem. If that's also like one part of like continuation of the real life ecosystem. So if we don't invest in that as a society, I'm not sure that it's going to end up well. Not only like...
Yeah, but the question is, who will be the user, or does...
Citizens,
yeah. Does the people know, because that's the key point. So I'm not seeing people around Croatia asking, for example, government, why you are investing in this and that, because I don't see any sense in it, because I don't see the value that this system will produce. So we spend a lot of money on digital solutions in the past few years. We will spend more in the next few years, without really any good analysis of the efficiency utilization of that technology.
Yeah.
And we will, because the drive which is driven by sales is so huge that you know, sometimes you need to buy a certain technology, even you don't know who will be the people who will be using it, how you want to use it.
That was my point. Like what you said, because sometimes, just to interrupt you for a second, that was my point, basically what you were saying. If you're driven by the sales, it's something that can, of course, NLP, if you're using NLP for the chatbots, that's application of it. But the groundwork, like some groundbreaking work, like the things that you are working, like because hate speech sentiment, and also like what a precursor of it, that's something that is not something that can be sellable that easy, but it's important.
Yeah, but solutions don't have to be complex to be efficient.
Yeah.
And if you are starting with something small, then we could create fragments of technology which could be used, but the people need to think about how to combine them together. I'm not sure about the number, but I think these days in Europe you have around 30 think tanks which are funded by independent money, which are in different countries just trying to build solutions which are worth investing in. And then the governments are coming and try to, you know, take a look at the list, and they have the idea, they have some kind of description why they should do it, and they choose what they want to invest. I want to do something similar here in Croatia. Why not? The community is very, very prominent here, okay? Why we are not creating a list of solutions that we see that could be better? Because any government solution could be better, but the question is, which one of the solutions are worth investing in? Because sometimes we are investing in something that not need to be invested in. Some of the solutions could be driven by paper and pen because they are efficient in a way they are. You don't need to change them. But some of them, it's clear that we need to change them. In 2014 or 15, I don't remember, Sandra and I built the first system which helps government to understand the possible fraud in public procurement. We build a system, we budget the system. Okay, there are many constraints and many, let's say, challenges back then on how to deal with it. But what the system was doing, analyzing data, reading the documents, trying to find out different people who are, for example, or companies who are at the same time in the process of public procurement, but at the same time on the court, or they had some problems with the previous processes. We are still not having comprehensive analysis, for example, of public procurement in Croatia, for you to see which of the companies are, let's say, more common in public procurement without saying that something is wrong. We call it an indicator system. You just have a green, yellow, and red light, and if, you know, different things come together, there is a red light. So for red light, you go there and check what is happening. So from how I see it, and NLP can help in that, data systems can help people to change their behavior, because if I'm sending you a message that I do not have technology in place to check what you are doing as a citizen, as a company, then you'll be pushing my limits as far as you can. But if I show you that, if I say that I'm using AI to check how something is happening, every time when you need to put a signature or something which is not fully in line with the ethics and everything, you will think, okay, you know, is it worth it? So I'm thinking that at that point in time, when we start implementing that products, if they will be simple, and if people will understand why and how we are using them, everything will change. So that could help both of our countries.
Yeah, what you're saying, that's a very good reasoning. Like only by thinking about should I do that or not, it already made a change that was not there
And
before.
this technology, NLP technology, is the essence of it, because, you know, imagine if someone is reading all the documents that are moving around and, you know, figuring out what is going on, you will, every time when you publish a document, you will think, okay, is this quality enough? This is what we see at our students. The moment that ChatGPT was somehow announced, the students were starting using it. And we just asked them once when they built more comprehensive text as a result of their task, we just asked them to stand in front of the audience and to explain what's in it. And they were somehow in a different position. They say, okay, we built with the ChatGPT something, but if I need to somehow support it with my lecture, I need to learn a lot of it. So, you know, I think with this technology, we are stepping into a world of better world, you know, better quality of our lives. What will happen in next years, we'll see. I'm affirmative.
Yeah, I think that what is awaiting us in the future is also like, it's very interesting. I totally do believe that, of course, like we are gonna switch from LLMs to the small language models, like specific, let's say, language models, because if nothing else, the cost of LLM is not, of course, right now what we are paying, it's not even the friction of what it costs to train the models, etc. So I believe that in one point of time, for sure, big companies such as Microsoft, they will start asking. I think that they already start asking.
We will more easily exchange the knowledge because of this technology. Because if in English, in England, in UK, in Germany, in Serbia, if there are a solution, LLM, which is better than, for example, ours, we could easily share the technology.
Yeah.
So the knowledge can, you know, spread around very, very fast. We just need to build it, work on it. It doesn't matter where you are living. You know, the point is that you are playing with technology.
Yeah, basically that was one of the things that what we were doing, like in our national strategy, which we are writing right now, here myself, like I'm the one. But the thing is, one of the things that we push is like a development of the resources for NLP. Like that's like one of the things how. I think that sometimes we just jump to do something and we do it over and over again. And I think that also, like when we are talking in what is worth to invest the resources, I think in developing a resource, not only application, like you said, not only like developing models, but also sometimes in engineering part, like the resource, corpus of the language. Because even in the end, if you have, like, you can have the transformers and you have Bertic, like as something that is very, very good to be used. But still, like, if you would like to develop in the future, that's something that's going to stay. It's not imbued with the technical depth in the end. And that's something that I think also like can be an interesting thing to think about how you're utilizing investing money in NLP. One is, like I said, we can split it in two words. One is the application we talk about, the more models and use cases, but the second one is development of the resources for itself. Okay, thank you, Leo, for your time. This was very, like I said, with you, the person can always talk a lot, like because you have a lot of things to say. I would like to leave the space for the public. If there is any kind of questions they would like to hear, I think we have room for one question, and after that we go to coffee break. Or I should say first question, then coffee break. So, is there any question, perhaps? Okay. Thank you, Leo, once again for being the guest at DSC Adria 24. One big applause for Leo Mrsic, if that's okay.
Thank you very much.